Rivers carry over 20 billion tons of rock every year. High in the mountains, rushing water carves deep V-shaped valleys. Tumbled rocks act like sandpaper, grinding down solid canyon floors. When the ground flattens, rivers begin to snake and loop. Fast water eats the outer bank, widening the river's path. Eventually, the river takes a shortcut, abandoning its old loops. This constant movement turns clear water into thick, muddy soup. Reaching the sea, rivers drop their heavy cargo of soil. This piled-up dirt slowly builds massive, fertile coastal deltas. Entire coastlines grow outward, completely reshaping the continent's edge. Gravity drives this water downhill, kickstarting the relentless carving process. Tumbling rocks act like sandpaper, grinding down the solid riverbed. Acidic water dissolves soluble bedrock, quietly eating the landscape away. Over deep time, this double assault carves massive V-shaped valleys. These channels act as conveyor belts, carrying continental debris downstream. But when the water slows, it drops its heaviest cargo. This leaves sorted gravel beds, organized like a tidy closet. Finer mud travels much further, settling onto the flat lowlands. The winding river sweeps back and forth, flattening the plains. Eventually, these accumulated sediments physically push back the ocean shorelines. High-altitude torrents slice through solid bedrock, creating deep, narrow canyons. Moving gravel acts like sandpaper, scouring the riverbed every second. Gravity pulls weakened canyon walls downward, widening the entire valley. As slopes flatten, the rushing water loses its vertical energy. The river begins snaking sideways, carving into softer valley soils. Fast currents eat away the outer bank of each bend. Meanwhile, slower water deposits sand on the inner curve. Eventually, sudden floods cut straight through the narrow loop neck. Left behind, the old loop becomes a crescent-shaped Oxbow Lake. This endless migration flattens entire valleys into vast, fertile floodplains. Gravity drives this water downhill, slicing directly into solid bedrock. This relentless downward cutting carves massive, steep V-shaped mountain valleys. Suspended sand and gravel act like sandpaper, scouring riverbeds clean. During spring floods, rushing water easily bounces heavy boulders downstream. Think of it as nature's messy, watery leaf blower. Eventually, the terrain flattens out and the river slows down. The sluggish water drops heavy gravel, carrying only fine silt. Piles of dumped sediment block the path, forcing new curves. These looping bends, called meanders, sweep across the flat landscape. This constant lateral sweeping slowly planes down entire continental interiors. This relentless flow carves deep canyons right through solid bedrock. Moving water carries millions of tons of sediment downstream daily. On flat plains, rivers start to loop and bend wildly. Eventually, these loops pinch off, creating crescent-shaped Oxbow Lakes. Reaching the sea, the heavy sediment drops to build deltas. This dumped soil creates brand new coastal landmasses over time. Entire continental drainage basins funnel water toward these exit points. Some ancient rivers even cut through rising mountain ranges continuously. It's like a giant sandpaper belt wearing down the continent. Ultimately, rivers dictate the actual shape of our global coastlines. High mountain streams carry sharp rocks that carve deep valleys. This constant grinding acts like sandpaper on the bedrock below. Over millennia, rushing water cuts massive V-shaped canyons into land. Rivers transport billions of tons of sediment toward the coast. On flatter ground, rivers bend and loop across the landscape. Sometimes a loop gets cut off, creating an Oxbow Lake. Regular flooding deposits rich nutrients, building fertile flat plains. Reaching the ocean, the slowing water drops its heavy cargo. This dumped sediment builds new land, pushing back the sea. Entire coastlines expand, completely altering the shape of our continents. Gravity drives relentless water to slice through solid continental rock. Swirling pebbles act like sandpaper, grinding down the riverbed. Over eons, this grinding carves massive chasms like Grand Canyon. Removing this heavy rock weight actually lets mountains spring upward. Collapsing canyon walls dump fresh debris into the torrent below. This makes the river a giant, muddy continental conveyor belt. It's like a hyperactive moving company that never takes breaks. Eventually, the rushing water slows down and drops its cargo. These dropped sediments build massive, fertile deltas at the coast. This endless dumping pushes coastlines outward, reshaping the global map. Gravity drags water downhill, carving steep V-shaped mountain valleys. Rushing mountain torrents scrape bedrock like heavy-duty industrial sandpaper. This relentless friction sweeps millions of tons of debris downstream. Over eons, this steady grinding carves out colossal canyon systems. Reaching flatter land, rivers snake sideways, widening the valley floors. These abandoned loops form Oxbow Lakes, looking like discarded watery donuts. Hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon to get updates. Eventually, rivers meet the sea and drop their heavy sediment. This dumped silt builds massive deltas, pushing coastlines further outward. These fertile, river-made lands eventually support massive human civilizations. This massive payload of mountain sediment travels thousands of miles. Rivers grind heavy boulders into fine, fertile silt along the way. Over eons, this relentless grinding carves deep, wide continental canyons. Meandering loops slowly widen valleys, flattening the continental interior. Sometimes rivers bypass loops entirely, leaving crescent-shaped Oxbow Lakes behind. Eventually, these watery highways dump their heavy cargo at the coast. This deposited silt builds massive deltas, pushing coastlines outward. The sheer weight of this sediment actually bends the Earth's crust. Entire landmasses tilt slightly under these massive, shifting mud piles. Continents aren't static. Rivers constantly rebuild them from the inside out. Gravity pulls melting snow down steep slopes into rocky channels. Fast currents smash boulders together, grinding stone into fine sand. Over millions of years, rivers slice through solid mountain bedrock. Murky water carries tons of pulverized mountain toward the plains. On flat land, the river swings wide like a snake. The outer bank crumbles away as the current hits hard. High water spills out, depositing rich silt across wide valleys. The river slows down, dumping its heavy load into oceans. This sediment builds entire new islands right at the mouth. Rivers move mountains to the sea, slowly flattening the world. High mountain streams start cutting deep into the solid rock. The water carries gravel that grinds the riverbed down further. This constant erosion creates steep valleys that slice through mountains. Rivers act like massive conveyor belts, moving silt toward oceans. On flatter ground, the river swings wide in lazy loops. Currents eat away the outer banks while depositing sand inside. Eventually, these loops get pinched off, leaving isolated crescent lakes. Floods spread nutrient-rich mud across the surrounding flat plains. At the coast, the river slows and drops its sediment. This buildup slowly pushes the coastline further into the sea. Rain turns into streams, carving deep channels into solid rock. Rivers act like massive conveyor belts, dragging sand downstream daily. On flat ground, rivers swing wide, eating away outer banks. Eventually, the loop pinches off, leaving a stagnant crescent lake. Floods spill over, coating the valley in nutrient-rich river silt. As the river hits the ocean, it dumps everything out. This sediment builds new land, pushing the coastline further out. Given millions of years, rivers slice through entire mountain ranges. Continents are essentially reshaped by the relentless flow of water. That practical change soon reached ordinary daily life.